Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Stampers Club. I'm Karen Trelfa, and today we are going to be doing this great Scenic Coast free online discovery card class. You're going to absolutely love how these cards are going to be made. So easy, so easy. Let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make each one of these cards. So make sure that everybody that has the kit mailed to them, you earned it last month with your $50 order, and you should already have that in your mailbox. So go make sure that's grabbed and you have it, along with the Scenic Coast or the Sunset Coast bundle, because you're going to need these products too to make the cards exactly as I have shown here. If you want to substitute, go for it. That's always fun too. But we're going to start one card at a time here and put them all together. So the first card packet, you need the one, of course, with the blue paper. Oh, wait, they all have that, don't they? But you need the one with this, this beautiful, shimmery little designer series paper here. This is just amazing, right? So these are the pieces that you're looking for in your card kit. And we can get started making each of these. So first, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to fold this card base in half. I did not score these, but that's okay. If you hold the bottom like this right here, then you can use your bone folder and just swipe over and have that all ready for you, right? Okay, then the next layer is the embossed basic white. So this is with the Forever Plaid embossing. I have embossed this for you. So that's all set. We need to get that attached to the card base. It's a vertical card, so we're going to go this way. And we're going to just put that right in the middle. It's a very nice little subtle background matting on our card here. So then we have this beautiful designer paper. I don't know if you can see that shimmer on there towards the bottom here. This package of paper absolutely has some gorgeous scenery for creating cards with. I mean, the paper pretty much kind of does it on its own, right? Beautiful, beautiful paper. And by the way, it's back in stock, which, you know, our papers are just so popular. They've been in and out of stock a couple of times already, this catalog. So what I'm going to do with this little piece here is I'm going to, towards the shiny bottom, I'm going to match up these two corners and give this paper just a little bit of a pinch, okay? And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go from the center up a little bit to that opposite corner, right? And then I have that perfect banner, right? Super easy to make that way. And that's going to get just layered straight up on our card. So let me get some tape up there, because that's just going to go right in the middle. Nice and simple like that. All right. And then we're going to have to do some big shot work. So your little small piece of Azure Afternoon blue, you're going to want to bring in your Stampin' Cut and Emboss. I'm going to use the mini so that it's easier to see on the table. And you're going to want the die that has the sailboat. So we're going to use that sailboat die. And we're going to just lay it on our board there. And we're going to kind of center it. It doesn't get left or right. It actually gets centered. So I'm just going to kind of center that on there. Now with this mini one, if you offset your plates, it will definitely go through the machine much easier, right? And then you're not fighting with the way those layers are. It's such a narrow machine. It really, like, you know, tends to sometimes fight with it. And then we're just going to crank that through. Of course, my table's wiggling, right? Set that aside, get out my paper, and voila, we have this beautiful little sailboat over here. I'm going to go ahead and punch out some of these little pieces here. Take my pick tool and push those out of there, right? So you got to get all those little pieces kind of out of there too, right? Of course, that one is like stuck. I think I got too much. It's kind of like not wanting to go through the hole because of the little edges on it. And then we have these two little strips here, the little watery looking stuff there. Okay, so that piece is ready. Now, what I did do with this one is I did wrap some ribbon around the bottom. You could do it as just a bow. Now, I had given you enough ribbon, or you can use your own ribbon, or you can skip it, whichever you prefer. I kind of tend to just go around the card. Need a little bit more there. And just tie it like a shoelace. Now, the trick to keeping your ribbon flat is to make sure that it stays in one direction, so you're not twisting that at the bottom. So I'm just going to hold my finger there, get a little bow. And it is, like I said, just like tying your shoes. This is not a complicated bow. And then you can hold the center and pull your tails so that you can make the size of bow that you want, and it lays out just perfect there. Okay, so I'm going to trim my ends, get rid of that, and now I want to slide this so that the bow is off to the side. I don't want it to be perfectly on center. I want it to be a little bit offset. So then I'm going to use dimensionals, lots of them. So I'm going to use mini dimensionals because this area can be kind of small. I can use a little bit of both, actually. That's probably a good idea. So I'm going to grab a larger one and put it down over the ribbon in that corner and one in this corner. And I'll do the larger 4 corners over there. And then I'm going to get minis. And I'm going to add some minis to the sides and the center because these areas are a little bit smaller. So you're going to want to make sure that you have dimensionals that fit in there. I'm going to put one on the back of the sailboat. And I'm going to add one down on the bottom too, just for some extra support there. Okay, let's get all these backings off. They're always fun. Who ends up finding these in their bed? I know I do sometimes. My husband's like, okay, Karen, can we not keep that in your craft room? Does it really have to travel all over the entire house? Well, you know, I like to craft, so there tends to be a few of these. All right, so let's get that over there and get this out here. And I'm just going to layer this right in the center here, maybe a little bit lower. I like that right there. Okay, perfect. Then you're going to need to bring in the die with the seagulls all over it, right? So we have this little seagull die, and we're going to use the little square of Secret Sea cardstock. Let's get my machine back over here and my plates back over here. And then this just needs to be die cut out real quickly here. We don't have to go through a whole lot of stuff here. Okay, and get that done. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for everybody and you're able to keep up with all of the little pieces. I'm doing this all on camera so that you can absolutely follow along and hopefully keep pace with me. I am a little bit of a faster stamper, but it's all good. Okay, so on these, let's bring our card back in. I'm going to take the smaller one, or the medium-sized one, and just use some liquid glue and get him a little bit glue. Liquid glue is really the best thing for these tiny little images. Whoops, got glue on my hand. And I'm going to put him right up here in the corner of the blue cardstock there. I guess he is blue. I did put in blue. Now this other one, these other two, I'm actually going to do a little bit of trimming on my dimensionals. Okay, so I'm going to flip these over and I'm going to get my paper snips and a tiny dimensional, and I'm going to trim off a small piece on the edge there. Get that off there. And I'm going to put that one on the tiny bird. And hopefully I get it in the middle. I think I did. I might have made a too big of a piece. Nope, he's good. And then the other piece, I think I'm going to trim it one more time. because I want it to be narrower. I'm going to trim off that little side there. Okay. And then that one I'm going to put on the other seagull. Let's get my backings cut off there. And the small seagull I'm going to put up towards the top, again on the blue. And then the larger bird, I'm going to, whoops, I just pulled the dimensional off of it. And the larger bird, I'm going to put in the sky over here, just like that. Okay, perfect. Then you're going to want to get your greeting. I have used the congratulations one and your Secret C cardstock and your little strip of basic white paper. Get my greeting opened up there, or my ink pad opened up there, and tap, 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 tap. The more times you tap your stamp, the more ink you lay on it. You don't want to push it into the pad. You want to just actually lay it on there. And we have congratulations. Get rid of that. And then again, super simple way to trim is just do a nice little angle cut here. That is really, really simple and easy. And then we're going to get some mini dimensionals again. And I'm going to put one over where there's a congratulation. And then I'm going to put a double stacked one on the other end. And you're going to see why you need to have it double stacked. Get my backings off. Did I get that one? Yep. And then you're going to put it up here along the top. And you're going to put the one dimensional there. And then the double stacked one is kind of in the hole. So you kind of want to make sure that you have that double stack. Otherwise, you're going to have this little floppy end over here. And voila, your first card is completed. Let's move on to the second card. So the second card is going to be this one. And you're going to need the packet that has the Azure card base and then this beautiful scenery piece of DSP. Let's move these aside. Okay, so this again is going to be folded in half. If you want to score it at 4 1/4. That would be where your halfway mark is. This works too. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to crease that down. And then we're going to attach the DSP. Love this Sunset Coast. I think that's what the name of the DSP is called, is Sunset Coast. Let me double check that. Scenic Coast. So it's Scenic Coast Designer Series paper. And it is absolutely stunning. I didn't think I was going to like it when I ordered it. And then I was so surprised with this nice little shimmer that ends up on there. In person, it's so much nicer. Don't you agree? Okay, so now we have, again, some more die cutting, right? So we're going to get our machine out, and we're going to need the little netting die. We're going to need the, here's the die for the, oh, it's still in the case. It came off the backing. We need the little die for the seashells. So and we need the sunburst die. That one has to happen. You need all three of those dies, right? So let's cut these. Probably I can cut maybe this one and this one together. So this is a Timid Tiger and Basic Beige cardstock. So we're going to get these cut first. And of course, that one is going to have all kinds of little holes in that. So I'm actually going to come back on this one and run it backwards just to make it a little faster to knock those out. Okay, so let me set these aside. Got those out of there. And set this one aside. And then come back in with our Pacific, I think this is Blueberry Bushel, and our little sunbeam here. And we'll get that cut also. So we'll get our die cutting over with here. Right, and crank that one through. And of course, my table is shaking. Don't know why, it's got 4 legs. Right, and let's get let's get this out. All right, so this piece here has some definite little squares, so that's got to get cut out. I should have taken this one back the other way too. I'm going to actually bring this back in, and I'm going to run this through a second time. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Sometimes the mini machine doesn't have as even of pressure as the big machine does, but this works. I know it'll work. It'll just fall off the die now. All right. So you got to get all those out of there. Take my pick tool again and pop that out. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Got an extra little funny little piece hanging there. There we go. So let me toss this. And then this little guy, same thing, it'll come right out. And then we have to get rid of all of these little holes. Your brush would probably work on this too. I just don't happen to have it at this table. So we're gonna just kind of poke all those out. Sometimes if you bend it, it works too. But you know, the little take your pick tool works just perfectly. And then of course, you know, what am I gonna do with all those little tiny little squares? I'm gonna carry them to bed with me, because they're going to end up on the floor, most likely, or parts of them will. And then they stick to your feet and they travel through the whole darn house, right? That's kind of what happens. So again, I want to make sure that I thank everyone for their orders last month. And if you've ordered this month or plan on ordering this month, as long as you order $50, you will get next month's kit for free. I mail it to you at no charge, which is lovely, right? Let me get this all off of here and see if I can get the garbage bag or the garbage can. And I have one more little seashell in here. So you get the kit free mailed to you. I pay the postage and everything for you. And then you can stamp along with me. The class is always the third Sunday of the month at 11 a.m. So you can put that on your calendar. And if you didn't order, then you can still join us for the free class. So this little guy, because he's so narrow, I'm going to use liquid glue again to add some glue around the edges. Now the trick with liquid glue, because everybody knows it is a love-hate relationship, is to do a very like dot, dot, dot. It doesn't take a lot for this glue to really adhere, and don't squeeze very hard. And if you keep it against the paper, you have a little more control over where it goes. So let's get this on here. And I'm going to do this where it's a little bit coming from the side. So I'm going to kind of put it right there and lay that down. Perfect. Okay. Then on the little netting, same thing. I'm just going to add some liquid glue to probably just the center of it. I want it to be a little bit dimensional. So I'm just going to add some glue to the very center of it. And which way do I want to go? I think I want to go this way. And now I think I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to do this right. I'm going to kind of adhere it mostly on that larger section of the little radiator there. Okay. Then I'm going to use the little curly seashell. Put him on with liquid glue also. It's a small item. So, and I'm just going to put that right in the middle. Okay. And then the starfish, same thing. Just a little bit of glue in the middle. And I'm going to curl his edges up a little bit just for a little more texture on the card. And we'll give him maybe a little bit of an angle right there. That looks good. Okay. And then our little shell sign. I love that shape of a seashell, right? And you find these quite a few on the beach. Like when I'm in Florida and I do shelling, I see these quite a bit. I think they're technically like maybe a scallop. And I'm going to put that one on a dimensional and just kind of overlap him on this other little curly Q guy right there. Then you have a piece of the blue gingham ribbon. This is actually on the last chance list. and I believe it might even be discounted. So that might be something that you want to add to your cart while you're shopping so that you get, a nice roll of ribbon that is less expensive too for you. So a little bit of a bonus savings there. How many of you actually check the last chance list frequently? Because it changes every couple of months, they add items to it. So you can always remember to go look for that too. And now this, I use a glue dot. And I find that when I do glue dots, when I push the ribbon to the glue dot, then I'm not touching the glue dot. It stays stuck to that. And I'm just going to put this down at the bottom right there, right? Perfect. And then I'm going to get my Secret C ink pad again. And I'm going to use Happy Retirement. And again, your little strip of basic white paper here. This side is better looking. And get this stamped on here. Happy Retirement. I am ready to kind of like retire from my day job. I don't know how many of you know, but I own a construction company and have had that since 1985. I got ink on my table. Since 1985, and it is a pretty demanding job running a company. Stamping is so much more fun, which is why I think started stamping to begin with just to have that little exercise of relaxation. So this, I'm going to put on some dimensionals. I'm going to use minis because it's a narrow strip. A couple of them is plenty. If you want to use 3, use 3. They're cheap. You get a whole package of them for like $4.25. You get 3 sheets of them. So they're these are my most used item in my stamp room. And Happy Retirement. And voila, your second card is completed. Now for the third card, which is going to be this one. And you're going to need your Azure Afternoon cardstock, this beautiful piece of Designer Series paper. It has a second sheet of Azure and then a couple of sheets of basic white cardstock. So let's start building this one. Again, we're going to fold our cardstock in half and use a bone folder to straighten it out. I will have a sneak peek coming up of next month's cards. So those of you that have ordered, that will be the kit you're going to get. You're going to see it here shortly. And once you do, I know you're going to want to be placing that order so that you get your free kit too and can stamp along with us next month. Third Sunday of the month is when we do our stamping. All right, so we're going to put that on there. Then I'm going to use let's do the prep work out of the way first. No, we'll do it the other way around. Okay, so then you're going to use this larger piece of basic white. And I'm going to start with the greeting just so that I have the placement where I want it. So the greeting is right here because I'm going to build kind of upwards a little bit. We'll get our greeting on there because that will give us an alignment going. And we're going to put that right in the bottom. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to put that aside. Then I'm going to use the Azure Afternoon and the water. This is the water feature. And you want to make sure that you have it so that the flat spot is upward. Get that inked up. And we're going to go just above our greeting here. And we're going to put that right across the paper. Wonderful. Don't need that ink pad. The next one is going to be crushed curry. So you need crushed curry. And I'm going to use this tiny little images of, let me get some ink on it, you might be able to see it better. It's just got these little tiny lines. Now these end up fitting inside the little openings right here. So you kind of got to line that up. And I think I got it. It's hard on camera. I want to get my head in the film. All right, wow, that was an easy line up there. And then I'm gonna leave the sunshine. Well, actually, no, I'll just get the sunshine on there too. That'll be easy. and I'm going to put the little sunshine right over where the largest part is there, right in the middle. Okay. Then I'm going to need basic beige and the outline image of the arch. So this is that fun little rock that you see in photos and movies all the time. And that I'm going to just line up over the top of that circle in the middle. That's the background of it. And then we're going to use pecan pie and the interior section of that little rock. So that's how you get that two-tone. And we're just going to go right over the same spot and pop that down there. And then you get that pretty little rock formation going on there, right? So this is going to get layered onto this piece of Azure Afternoon cardstock. So we're just going to tape those together. Whoops, my tape is, I think, running out. And then that's just going to get centered on there. And I'm going to use dimensionals on this one. So we're going to get some dimensionals on that. Get the backings off. And they stick to everything too. I know. You've heard that story before, haven't you? All right, so that's going to bring our card back in. And we're going to just center this. Voila. All right, then you're going to need your extra piece of white paper and your two little sailboats and your Secret Sea stamp ink pad. And we're just going to get those two little guys right there on some basic white cardstock. Now, isn't that easy? Now, I did mount both of my sailboats on the same block because there's plenty of room for that. And then you're going to need to have the two dies for that. And we'll get our machine back in here. That moved over. And our plates. And our dies. Right. And we're going to put these on there. Now, you could use a little bit of washi tape. That helps hold these in place. We're going to line that up. That looks good. And tape it down. And another piece of washi tape. And line that one up and tape it down. That's going to help keep the line, the tape, they're tiny pieces, so they tend to move, especially when you're cutting two at the same time. And then when you put the plate on it, it tends to slide. But, you know, there's a fix for everything. Washi tape is a wonderful item for just that. You could buy the little Post-it note things too, those would work. And there is Post-it note tape that's usable. I have some of that, but I just didn't bring it over here with me. So we need to have our little sailboat, one sailboat, and two sailboats, one and two sailboats. Get rid of all this trash here. Bring my card back in, right? We're going to bring this back in, and these are going to end up on dimensionals. So I'm going to flip these over, and we're going to put a mini dimensional on each one of them. So one dimensional there, one dimensional there. Get the backings off. And I'm going to put the larger one right here where the rock meets the water. And then the next one a little bit lower. And I want to have his sail going into the sunset there. So you have a beautiful little wherever this note finds you card. I have ink on my hand, and look what I just did. How many of you have done that before, right? I'm sure several. So let me show you a sneak peek of next month's cards. You're going to love these. So here's the first one. A little something to say hello. Love just the simplicity of the leaves. Color combination is golden glow and old olive. Okay. And then the next one is a beautiful little thanks card. Love that embossing, those pretty little leaves that are embossed on the background. Aren't those just beautiful, right? Again, color combination is very springy, but yet it is a fall set that you would think. Third card, we have the same color combination. The leaves are lined up. Now, if you don't know where this came from, let me show you. So this is part of the Simply Leaves bundle. It comes with this great punch that punches out the larger leaves. And then you have some background images and some wonderful, cute little greetings. This is beautiful. So the way this is going to work is anybody that places an order of $50 or more before tax and shipping during the month of July, I will mail the card kit to you that will be all the supplies that you need for any of these items. If you want to make them exactly like me, you have to have the Simply Leaves bundle. Anything that's embossed, I will do that for you, and it will be in your kit. So you'll have some special stuff. And you're going to love how this piece, this diagonal piece gets made. Super, super, super easy. I do hope that all of you have enjoyed today's free discovery online class, and I hope to see you next month. I'm gonna actually look at you to say goodbye. I hope that you have a great time stamping in your future, and I hope to see you next month. Actually, I think I will see you next month on the third Sunday in August to be making these beautiful Simply Leave cards. In the meantime, you guys have a stamp happy day. Bye now.